Hi, my name is Anna Broso. I'm the president and CEO of Solar Stories, where I work on connecting Christian authors to non-spice readers. Today's guest is India Tungate. She is the author of the Covewood series, and that takes place in Kentucky. She also is from Kentucky. She's a mother of two, has been married for 14 years. She has a small photography business in addition to being an author. She volunteers at her church, loves spending time with her loved ones, and also loves reading and writing her cozy closed door romance books. India, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
yeah, we're. I'm excited to be talking to you too because we talk a lot on social media, but not ever face to face.
Yeah,
And I'm also in Kentucky, although I'm not a Kentucky native. I don't really know anything about outside of Louisville. But it's fun to meet other Kentucky authors too.
it is really fun, and there's
Yeah.
quite a bit of us out there. I'm learning. We need like a little group for Kentucky authors, don't we?
Yes, I agree.
That would be fun.
So the first question, can you share a little bit about your testimony with us?
Yes. So I don't really have a testimony in my past because we didn't really go to church. So I was one of those people that didn't grow up in church, unfortunately. But I would go with like my granny bell or oftentimes with like my nana. So I would go with grandparents or go with friends. But like I knew Jesus, but I didn't really know Jesus, if you know what I mean. Like I knew of him,
Right.
but I didn't know him like I wish I would had. And that's okay because that was just part of my growing up. And so I feel like I really found a connection with him through motherhood, honestly. Like
Mm,
that's when I really knew that I needed to lean on him the most. I mean, you know how that is, right? Like especially homeschooling, you need a lot of Jesus to get through.
right.
And so that's a big part of that, but also he's taught me a lot through forgiveness, and you'll kind of find that through my book series too, that I do weave in forgiveness through each book I've noticed, because that's just a big part of what I've walked through. And yeah, I really grew in my relationship with him through forgiving others, and obviously finding my home church has been amazing too. So I feel like right now is probably the strongest I've ever had a relationship with him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great. Praise the Lord. I told someone recently, motherhood is so sanctifying in all of the best and hardest ways.
Absolutely.
I was holding our son. We at our Christmas Eve service. It was perfect time for bedtime, and so he's kind of fussy. And so I'm holding him and trying to get him to sleep, and we're singing Silent Night. And I look at him and I'm like, oh my goodness, our Lord Jesus Christ was once this small, and his mom had to rock him to sleep, and I just was overwhelmed and started crying in the middle of the service. Yeah, it's great.
I love
Thank you for sharing.
that.
That's really sweet.
I love that.
Yeah. So, what genres do you write? What are you hoping to write? Do you have any? What projects are you working on? Yeah.
So I want to always write Christian. I don't know, I don't know if I want to label myself a Christian romance author, but I also I'm romance with faith elements woven in. How do you describe, how do you, how to word that? Because I want to reach out, I want to write in a way that obviously is appealing to my fellow Christians, right? But I also want to write in a way that people that don't know Jesus could pick up my book and enjoy it, but also
Right.
obviously is exposed to the truth. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that. But I would label myself as like a Christian contemporary romance novel. But my second novel that's coming out this year, it's like a little bit. Is there a term for like contemporary and rom com? Like, is that a
I,
thing?
I think so. I've been saying contemporary rom com for mine, so because it's not like a historical romance, it's taking place now.
Yeah. So that's
I
contemporary.
think I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So I like to pull all the emotions. I don't want it to just be just this heart-wrenching, really sad story with like a little
Right.
happy ending. I want it to be like just like how life is. It's a roller coaster. You're going to have parts where it's sad. You're going to have parts where it's really funny, and just I'm trying to figure out how to weave in the right amount of everything, if that makes sense. But I love
Yeah.
to laugh too, so I like to be goofy, and so some of my books are probably going to come off more rom-com too.
Yeah, and that's okay. People need that stuff.
They
Yeah.
do, don't they?
So I'm gonna ask you later, but in our friend Rebecca Jo Jackson and Grayson Long's interview spotlights, they both recommended your book as one of the non-spice recommendations. So can you go a little bit more into detail about what people should expect from Rain, Rain, Runaway?
Yes. So for my first book, what's the pepper rating? I know there's like the whole bell pepper thing.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Would be like the little green one, probably. Is that the sweeter one? I can't remember.
I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely not spicy, but there's like maybe like a one heat. I
Yeah,
don't know.
because I do, and I'm again, we're all learning here, right? Every book that you write, you end up learning something new about yourself, about
Absolutely.
writing. So I'm trying to find the balance with that. And I'm sure you can relate to this because I want to honor, being a Christian, and I don't want, like, I can't, my heart cannot write something that's too spicy. I just can't. But I love to write the connection and the tension that happens when, just you're kissing somebody or just like that. I don't know how to explain it. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, I you like the build up. You know, some people
Yes.
just write, oh, and they kiss, and then that's like it, and that's fine. My
Yes.
my book was like that because they're teenagers. I didn't think I needed to write details. But
Yes.
you write an adult romance, and so you like that emotional build up,
Yeah.
but it's not like nasty.
Yes. Thank you. That's what I'm going for. And I noticed writing my second book, I keep just referring it to Luke and Olivia. They where they fake date, and so they're a little bit more like Luke's having fun. Like he's like, I can
Sure,
finally
and he's a goofy character.
right? Like I can finally kind of love her, and like so there's a little bit more of that tension with that, but I'm
Hmm.
clean, and it's always going to be closed door. Like you don't need to know what they do in the bedroom. You don't even know if they go to the bedroom, right? But
Right, right. And I've wondered about that too, because I like closed door. It means different things to different people. Like, is there like a fade to black scene? Is there things happening behind the door? And so, like, yeah, the whole like no spice realm. There's like so many definitions that I'm like, I'm learning. How do I promote? What do we talk about? Because it's constantly changing. Like you said, the bell pepper
yeah,
level versus like a chili pepper level. I'm like, I don't know.
yeah. What do we do?
Yeah.
We just want to write.
I know. Yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
good. So are you independently, traditionally published? Where can we find your books?
So independent. I just knew it from the start. I like to be my own boss, obviously running a business. So I was like, I can do that. I'm just going to do it. So right now, indie, I might look at traditional publish if I find that story. I feel like you'll know when you have that story
Hmm.
that you're like, okay, this might be the one. But for right now, I have no plans of that. And so I think I have it just on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited. I think that's the only places. I might try to do a website this year and try to do that, but it's just where I have it now. And some
Yeah,
bookstores I've worked with too.
which is so fun. Yeah, I love that. Um, so if you could use 5 words to describe your writing style, what would they be?
Ooh, I wrote these down. Let me read them. I put heartfelt, cozy, swoony, Jesus centered, and descriptive. But I wouldn't say I'm like BK Borison descriptive. Have you read her books? I feel
No.
like she gets pretty descriptive of like everything. I'm like in the middle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, her book, the before I ever knew who she was, I like found the In the Weeds book in Target, and I was like, this is the most adorable cover I've ever seen in my entire life.
Really,
But
really
yeah,
cute.
I haven't read anything. Yeah. Um, so who inspires you most as a writer? Or
My,
what inspires you most?
my grandma, her name is
Yeah.
Betty Peterson, and growing up, she wrote plays and worked at the local college here as an English professor. So she is just amazing. And gosh, I wish I never sent her my old stuff. 'Cause remember the Twilight days? I mean,
Yes.
I
Oh,
wrote
yes.
stuff like that, and I would send it to her, and she would just critique it and like, you got a really great imagination. If she could read what I wrote today, that would be amazing.
Right.
But she inspires me just to because she actually went to college as her kids were I want to say they were still like in high school or at least in their college days and having grandbabies and stuff. And she chased her dreams and became a teacher and like did all these amazing things that I was
Yeah.
like, I want to be her when I grow up.
Yes. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I, and you, correct me if I'm wrong, but like some of the characters in Rain, Rain, Run Away were like inspired after your grandparents. Is that
Yeah,
right? Yeah, and that's really sweet
absolutely.
too.
I
Yeah.
just I've had that story in my heart since like my son was born. So he's 9 now. So for 9 years I was just mulling that over. And so after she passed in 2020, I felt like like writing is such a good therapy, right? And I was like, I need to take this grief and I need to do something with it. And so I put it into that story. And so obviously, Mama and Papa, that's how I say it. uh, they um, they're basically like inspired by my Nana and Papa, and I love them.
I love that. That is so sweet. Okay, so India, what is the hardest part about writing for you?
For me, I have two hard parts. I feel like the first part, and I'm sure you'll relate, is time management. Like how do we do it? We wear a lot of hats as moms, right? Do you do you homeschool? Your kids are not in
They're
home.
not old enough yet. Yeah, I plan to homeschool, and so we're like looking into curriculums and stuff right now. But my daughter turns 3 in June, and so that's like we'll start more officially doing stuff like that next
Yes.
school year.
Yes. So that's a whole hat that you'll have to wear soon.
Yes.
Yes, so it's just like trying to find that time, but I've learned that treating it like a job, and like I will choose to like maybe write for like a set amount of time or try to get a chapter in and then go to edit photos in my work time area.
Right,
That
right.
so that's a struggle, but I'm just trying to adapt to that and then just pouring pieces of your heart into each book. Like I feel like if I want something to be heartfelt, I really need to pull from things that I've experienced and felt. And that can be hard sometimes. I'm sure you can relate. Like it's just it's a lot. Some and crying and just trying to get your emotions out. And that's hard. It's hard, but it's freeing at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because I'm working on drafting my second book, which is like a different, completely separate from my debut because that's a standalone. So this is the first book in like a series, and I feel like each female character is gonna have like pieces of me, just because like I don't know how else to write a real person without taking from something that
Yeah.
and I want them to feel like real people. So yeah,
Good for that. We'll have to talk about that later. I need more detail.
yeah, I'm excited about it too. Um, okay, so what's your favorite passage of scripture and why?
So I am a total romantic person. I love love, and so obviously Corinthians, what's First Corinthians 13? Is it 4 through 8? I cannot remember the. I think I wrote it. Yeah, 4 through 8. The
Mm-hmm.
whole thing about love, and like you hear it. I photograph a lot of weddings, and this is
Mm-hmm.
almost every wedding, but I eat it up every time. I'm like, I just love that, and I actually have a little plaque that has that verse on it in my home, and it's just a great reminder of what God intends love to be, and I love it, obviously.
Yeah. No, and I think too that can help with writing romance because like you can see God's perfect love and then displayed for like us as people and put those aspects into your books. So
Yes, absolutely.
very sweet.
Yes. Love is patient, so you need to write a patient man, right? Love is
Right, right. Let's write green flag people.
yes, like that's what I want for my male characters. They are going to basically it's like a love note to my little girl. I want her to read my books one day and say,
Yes.
"This is the man that you want to marry." Like this is like a little version of like what you should be looking for in a man.
Yes, wholeheartedly agree. I want to write romance books that my daughter could feel safe reading. Not
Yes.
perfect characters because perfect people don't exist, but like redemption arcs and forgiveness, like you said, is a big theme of yours. Like you're gonna have to forgive the person you end up marrying, like because we're sinful people. I mess up all the time. Yeah. And so
I love
that's
that.
sweet. I didn't even think about that, like being a favorite, because you said, right, it's like often used in weddings, but yeah, Paul, who wrote Corinthians, is fantastic, and everything that he wrote was fantastic, obviously. The whole
Right.
Bible, let's be honest.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's sweet. I didn't even think about that.
I love it.
So, what's next for you in the Covewood series? Do you have any other series ideas later? What can you tell us about your stuff?
So I have book two done. Like draft one's done, revisions they're done, and it's actually with
Yeah.
like an alpha reader. So I'm hoping to get that out this year. I'm not sure when, but it is a Christmas book. But I kind of want to do it by July. I kind of want to do Christmas in July because
Yeah.
I don't want to
Why
wait.
not?
And then I've actually been like now that I have a break, it's kind of nice isn't it having a little bit of break. I'm trying not to even think about Luke and Olivia right now, and
Mhm.
I've been working on my outline for book three, and I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah, what does the outlining process look for you? Because like I want to be an outliner. I'm such a type A person, so like I want to go with a plan, and every time I try to sit down to make a plan, it like stresses me out, which is so weird because in every other aspect of my life, if I don't have a plan, it stresses me out. So yeah, what does the outlining process look like for you? What do you do?
So basically, the very first is like when I get an idea, I have to write out what I'm thinking. And so I
Hmm.
actually in bed, like usually at nighttime after everybody's asleep, that's our time. Like we either choose to go to bed or we just sacrifice sleep. And a lot of times
Yep.
I do that. So I'm just in bed on my phone and I will try to make like a very, very rough draft of an outline of like, what do I see happening in this story? And then so now I'm taking that scrap and like trying to put it on Google Docs and I just go through each chapter. And basically, I just put, who's like I do dual point of view. So who's
Hmm.
point of view? I even do a date, even though people probably don't need to know what date. That helps me know like on track of like what day it is. And then I just word vomit basically. What happens in this chapter? Now it usually changes. Like Luke and Olivia
Sure.
completely changed their whole thing, but it's like really nice to have an idea of what you want to happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. As far as my outlining goes, is like I do a very short bullet list of like these are all the events I see in my brain happening, and then that's it.
Yeah. And that's
And
fun
so it
too.
works. Yeah, and it totally is fine. Like there's no right way to write a book, I think,
Um,
because every author is different, every person is different, every book is even within the same author, every book is different. And so I
absolutely.
feel like it's okay that your approach changes, but yeah,
Yeah.
it just that's what it is for me, and it ends up being very messy process, and
Mhm.
that's fine too.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
So to that question that we talked about earlier, if you could recommend three spice-free books besides your own, what would they be?
All right, I wrote some down. It's so hard to choose though, because I love so many cozy, swoony books.
Yes.
The first one I put was Love in a Storm by Mandy Blake. Have you ever read any of her books? She's so good.
No.
She's a Christian author.
Yeah.
Hers are just really cozy, small town, like everything that I love. And I really, really enjoyed that book. I put That First Moment by Stephanie Steck, of course. It's fake dating, and I eat that up, and I loved it so much. I think it's more fade to black, though. And then Playing the Field by Grace, and she did a really, really great job with that book. Like, I loved it. Malcolm is
Yeah.
my man.
Yes. Yes. I don't know your husband, but just like the snippets that like you've talked about, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I've read both of Grayson's books. Yeah, but he's like tough, like kind of burly, like whatever. And the small things that you've like shared on social media about your husband, like that lines up.
He's my man. I picture him as
Yeah.
Wes.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I like that you said that too because I can't remember if she talked about it in her interview or just like in with me, but she like wasn't as like it, I don't know, she like didn't say she was as proud as that of that one as her first one, but I think she did a phenomenal job of that one too. Like her character building was great. Um, yeah. So
Yeah, she did a really good job. She
mhm.
needs picked up sometimes, and I'm constantly just like, "You are amazing. Keep
I
writing
know.
books."
Yes, there is no perfect book, and I already my book hasn't even come out yet. It comes out in a few weeks, and I already am like, man, I should change that part and change that
Yeah,
part. Yeah, that's okay.
yeah.
It's fun, and I it feels real, you know.
Oh,
Uh,
yes, absolutely.
so besides reading and writing, what are your hobbies, India?
My hobbies, like, I wouldn't consider photography as a hobby because it's a job, but
Mm-hmm.
I love it at the same time. So it's kind of a hobby. And I really, besides reading, like, I don't really have a lot of time to do anything. So can I count like volunteering at church as a hobby?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because any spare time lately, we have been at church, and I love it.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful way to spend your time.
Right?
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
boring.
and I would say like I'm not in that homeschool age yet, but like besides reading and writing, like I love spending time with my family. And even if it's just like we're on the couch together doing nothing, that's what I like.
Absolutely. It is. That's my favorite time of the day. Is just the chill
hmm
time.
Yes, the slow morning, like you don't have any plans, you're just enjoying each other's company.
Yes,
Yes.
I love that.
hmm So, is there anything else you want to share before we conclude today?
Just thank you for putting this together for authors like us. I feel like it's nice to have a community and to work together on like hyping each other up, but also exposing more of our books. So yeah, you're doing amazing things, and I'm very thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was so sweet to talking with you.